So a while ago, I posted a video about a really nice romantic Biagi from 1945, which is called Tus labios me dirán. And I made that video to talk about, the more slower Biagi that we're not necessarily so used to, or that we're not really playing as much, because Biagi is usually celebrated for being rhythmical and fast and in a certain way useful for DJs as compared to other orchestras that are slower or time periods that are slower. Um, and Today I want to make another video about the exact same year. And when I was doing some research for that original video, I came across a song I had never heard before, and that's really stuck in my head. I really loved it back then, and for some reason I looked it up again, and now I'm constantly singing it like half of the day. So that's a good reason always to make a video, of course. So um, I just want to explain some concepts. Recap some concepts from the previous videos so that you don't have to watch it. So I'm talking about like the end, Biagi of the end of the Golden Age. And the Golden Age is a bit of a controversial term among tango people, but I always define it between more or less 1935 and 1945. So this song we're going to talk about today is from 1945. So the Golden Age may end in 1944 or 1946 or even 1947, but I'm not considering, for example, 1955 to be the Golden Age, as some other people do. People often refer to it like that, but I don't think that's actually how we should look at it. But everyone should have their own opinion, of course. But what I'm going to talk about here is the Golden Age, and a song that fits into the Golden Age, but it's also very much surprising to us in a way, because we're not used to this Biagi as much. And the original reason why I made the previous video is that I never really liked Biagi con Amor. Some tracks were kind of nice, but I don't like the singer. I did like the slower Biagi style that you also have with Jorge Ortiz around the same year. And of course, the later Biagi that is much more dramatic, much slower even in a way. And yes, what I want to say about Golden Age is that all the orchestras became slower towards 1945, and also more like romantical, dramatic. And what we see here is that Biagi does this as well, because they all follow the same trends, but it's still also rhythmical. So let's now listen to this song to talk a bit about what happens. So it's the bounciness of Biagi, it's still there. Dramatic. So there's a lot of interesting things happening here. The way it starts with the violin. Compared, like, if you take these pretty dramatic solos and you consider that the music is quite slow, this is hard to compare to, for example, Biagi from 1938. And like I said, it's still Biagi because you have the choppiness, the rhythm. But what you have here, very warm piano. Bandoneon that is very vibrating. Very slow. Dum 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 da da da. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. Another dramatic effect. But what I like so much about this part is that this bandoneon is very sad, and it's very emotional and melancholic, you could say, or nostalgic. It's always like not always, but it's often a mix in tango of these two things: nostalgia, melancholy. And what you hear is very interesting, because you hear this very lyrical bandoneon, But it's still Biagi, so you hear the piano playing in the background. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. So this is the first part, the first minute, and then we're gonna get the singer. And again, this is also, I also want to highlight, this is very Biagi. It's almost like a screeching, it's almost false, like this violin. Some people might be more a fan of this violin than the violins in Biagi than I am. I actually like them in the early Biagi, but when Biagi becomes slower, the violins can be a bit harsh. This is still bandoneon.
Hoy he querido evocar mis amores de ayer y me he puesto a llorar.
So what is very interesting, what we're going to see in this singer, is that he also, not necessarily in this part, more in what comes next, but he's also vibrating his voice a lot. And you have a lot of vibrato in tango singers, and also in this one. But I think in the prettiest part of this singing that we're going to see next, it's actually really fitting, because it's almost like he creates some kind of longing with the way he sings, and it's very similar to the bandoneon we hear here. Very sad. And hear what he says. Oh.
Hoy he querido evocar mis amores de ayer y me he puesto a llorar.
So he says something like, today I wanted to remember some of my, yeah, it's a bit literal in Spanish, but my loves of the past. So the people, the women he loved in the past. And
Hoy con mis pobres recuerdos en gris voy como un ciego a un lejano país.
This is quite poetical. So he's saying something like he's referring to being gray, mis recuerdos en gris. So it's like my memories in gray. So that can be maybe like gray memories that are sad memories. I don't know, but I think it's mostly referring to his old age. And so I go like a blind man to a distant country, and then what you get afterwards, the names that he's going to mention of these women he loved, they're all French. So it's a bit of a typical tango thing. There's a lot of French women in tango, and I think yeah, that's a lot of explanation for that. But let's just listen to the ones he mentions. So who can tell me? So it's a rhetorical question. Who will tell me, like whatever, where my past loves are? Where are the women I loved and that I will never, that I have never forgotten? So this is where this really beautiful part starts. That keeps being stuck in my head when he sings the women's names. So notice the violin. I like the violin in this case. So he's referring to a girl called Mimi who was really bohemian. Yeah, if I really translate this for an official translation, I'd have to think about how to translate that. But it's literally saying my bohemian Mimi. So my gorgeous Beatrice. So if my friend Beatrice Duchovne is watching this, well, perhaps he's referring to you, but it's probably more like Beatrice in French, what we're listening to here. Mimi is like almost like a cliched French name in tango. Beatrice. I love this phrase. Very poetical. Y tú también, mi romántica Inés. And you as well, my romantic, my loving, whatever, Inés. And then this phrase. You were like a pale flower, so very light, white colored flower. But then you left. Y te fuiste después. So you were like this flower, but then you withered. So you went away. You disappeared, or you left me. And what I love about this also what the orchestra does. So you have this bandoneon, that's like his voice, it's vibrating. So they're both doing this, but then you also have piano. Yeah, me dirá dónde está. Oh, mis amores de ayer. Still Biagi. Repetition. So who can tell me where my loves from the past are? Super dramatic ending. Very slow. He takes his time. And it ends without the typical chun 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 chun. There's so much in this. It's very dramatic. It's poetical. The singing is great. The way the orchestra accompanies the singing, and the singer accompanies the orchestra. So it's very much in balance still. You see in later music that the singer becomes like too central, too important, and the orchestra becomes a little boring. But let's talk about that another time. So this is what I wanted to say about this song, and maybe you understand now with a bit of a translation why it's so powerful and why it's so touching. So that's what I wanted to say today.